When Mom got sick, I put my life on hold. I bathed her, fed her, cried with her. My brother visited once a month, took photos for social media. After she passed, he stood at the funeral and said, "I gave her everything." The will reading was the next morning. He got the house, the savings, even her jewelry. I got a cookbook and an envelope that said, "You understand why." I opened it. Inside was one key. What it opened changed everything. This one moment changed everything 3 years ago. I paused my life and never really hit play again. It started with a phone call. I was living in Albany at the time, working late shifts at a marketing firm, eating dinner out of Tupperware on the couch. The call came from the visiting nurse assigned to Mom. She said Mom had fallen in the hallway. Nothing broken, just bruised and confused. But it was the third fall in 6 weeks, and this time she'd forgotten how to get up. I drove home that night. Home was Binghamton, the house we grew up in, with the wallpaper peeling in the hallway and the same dusty recliner she'd had since Dad died. I told myself it would be temporary, just until she stabilized. But by the end of that week, I was bathing her. She couldn't remember how to turn off the stove. She thought it was still 1998. She mistook me for her sister. Some mornings she was quiet and sweet. Others she screamed when I tried to change her clothes. My brother Drew? He came around once a month. Every single visit was the same. He'd park his leased BMW out front, stay long enough to take a photo with her in bed, post something like, "My heart, my world," hashtag family first, then dip out and Venmo me $100 with a thumbs up emoji. I once asked if he could stay for the night, so I could sleep more than 4 hours. He replied, "You've always been the caretaker. You're better at this stuff."
Right.
When Mom passed, I held her hand until it went cold. I kissed her cheek. I called the nurse. I waited. I cleaned her body the best I could until they arrived. At the funeral, Drew wore his designer suit and gave a speech that made people cry. "I gave her everything I had," he said, voice shaking. "She knew how much I loved her." I almost laughed. I really did. But I didn't say anything. The next morning we sat down for the will reading. Mr. Finch, her old lawyer, looked uncomfortable from the moment we walked in. Drew was all smiles. "Let's just get this done. I've got a flight at 2. Finch handed us each an envelope.
Drew's was thick.
Mine was flat. He opened his and started grinning before Finch even said a word. "The house," he said. Finch nodded. "And the savings. The jewelry, the car, all listed here. It's all yours." My envelope had a stained old cookbook and a single white envelope with my name in her handwriting. Inside it, just one sentence. "You understand why."
And a key. Brass. Old.
Not from the house. I stared at it, confused, while Drew made fake humble noises about donating the car. I spent the whole night trying to figure it out. It didn't match the shed, the basement door, the safe, or even the antique jewelry box. I was starting to wonder if she'd made a mistake. And then I remembered the cabin. A place nobody talked about anymore. It was Grandpa's old hunting cabin, way up in Tioga County. No one had been there since Mom stopped driving. We used to go when I was little. Just her, me, and Drew sometimes. I remembered her once saying, "This place will outlive us all." I drove there the next morning. The path was nearly invisible. Trees had reclaimed most of it. But the lock on the door was new. The key worked. Inside was dust, mouse droppings, and silence. But the floorboards near the back creaked differently. Newer wood. Something covered. I pried up the board and found a small fireproof lockbox. The same key opened that, too. Inside was a manila folder, a cloth-wrapped bundle, a photo, and a tiny voice recorder. The photo was me and Mom at my graduation, both of us sunburned, smiling too wide. The bundle held a bank book, $86,000 in a savings account under my name. The folder had copies of receipts, letters, and a copy of a legal document from 5 years ago. She'd sold a rental property no one knew she still had. And then the recorder. I pressed play. Her voice was slower, raspier. "If you're hearing this, it means I'm gone. I couldn't put this in the will. I knew Drew would contest it. He always cared about what people saw.
But you stayed.
You gave me everything when I had nothing left to give. She paused. I needed you to have something of your own. Something he can't fake or take. You'll know what to do with it. I trust you. I sat there for hours. I don't even remember crying. I felt blank. Not angry. Not even relieved. Just hollow. I didn't tell Drew. I went back home that night and locked the cabin key and the bank book in my glove compartment. Then I sat in my apartment and stared at the cookbook. It was her cookbook, full of handwritten notes, grocery lists, smudges from spilled tomato sauce. At first, I thought that was it, just something sentimental. But tucked between 2 pages was an old receipt. Cash withdrawal. $9,000. Dated just 2 months before she got diagnosed. I had never seen that money. Never heard about it. And I had been managing all her bills. I flipped through more pages. There were several more slips, mostly cash transactions, some withdrawals, some payments to names I didn't recognize. I went to Mr. Finch that week and asked if he knew anything about that money. He looked uncomfortable again. She asked me not to disclose anything unless you came to me directly. Then I'm allowed to tell you. He pulled a separate folder from his drawer. Turns out, the cabin wasn't the only thing Mom had kept off the books. There were 3 CDs, certificates of deposit, all matured, all in my name. She'd started them years ago, after Dad passed. She never told anyone, not even me. I was trying to wrap my head around it when he said, "There's one more thing." He handed me a letter. The envelope was sealed, with Drew's name on it. She wanted you to decide what to do with this. I took it, sat in my car for 20 minutes staring at the paper. Then I drove straight to his apartment in Manhattan. I didn't call ahead. I just showed up. He opened the door wearing gym clothes and an expensive watch.
Whoa.
You okay? He asked. You look like shit. I handed him the envelope. This is for you. From her. He opened it right there in front of me. I watched his face shift. The letter was short. 1 paragraph. I never saw the exact wording, but he folded it slowly and sat down hard on the arm of his couch. Then he said, almost whispering, she knew.
I didn't say anything.
He looked up at me. She knew about the credit cards. The account I opened in her name. She knew I was taking money while she was sick. I didn't flinch. She let me say all that stuff at the funeral. She still gave me everything. I stared at him. No, she didn't, I said. She gave you what people could see. That's all you ever wanted. He looked up at me, like a kid caught cheating on a test. What did she give you? I didn't answer.
I just walked out.
Drew didn't call me after that. He didn't ask about the letter again. He didn't ask about the money. He didn't even ask what Mom had left me. And for a while, I thought that was it. We'd both go our separate ways. He'd keep the house, the car, and the public story. And I'd keep the truth. But 2 months later, I got a call from Mr. Finch again. There's been a complication, he said. Apparently, Drew had started trying to liquidate some of Mom's accounts. Not the savings that was already in his name, but the CDs. The ones she had listed under mine, quietly, with her as custodian. He'd found out about them somehow. Maybe a mail statement, maybe a file he kept from cleaning out her desk. He'd hired a lawyer to claim them on the grounds that she was not of sound mind when she set them up. I thought I was going to throw up. He's filing a petition to the probate court, Finch said. He's claiming elder exploitation. He's saying I exploited her? I asked. There was silence on the other end. Yes. It went to court. I had to sit there while his lawyer painted me as the needy child who moved back home and inserted themselves into the finances. They showed photos of Drew with her at the hospital. Said he trusted his sister to handle things while he lived hours away. My hands were shaking so hard I couldn't hold my pen. But then Finch pulled out the recordings. There were more than just the one I'd found in the cabin. Apparently, she'd made 3 total. In one, she spelled out clearly that she was transferring the CDs to me because he'll never know what to do with it except spend it. Finch had made her record it with a witness present. That saved me. The court sided with me. Drew didn't look at me when they read the decision. He just stood up, whispered something to his lawyer, and walked out of the room. I thought that was the last time I'd see him. It wasn't. A week later, I woke up to the sound of glass breaking. Someone had thrown a brick through the front window of my small cafe. The cops came. I filed a report. Nothing stolen, just the window. But the note wrapped around the brick said, "She should have left it all to me." No name. But I didn't need one. I changed the locks. Installed cameras. I didn't call him. A few weeks after the brick incident, I got a message on Facebook. It was from a woman named Claire. She looked familiar, but I couldn't place her at first. "Hi," it said. "I think we need to talk. It's about Drew." I ignored it at first. I didn't want anything more to do with him. But she messaged again the next day. "I'm sorry to bother you, but I really think you should know what he's been doing with your mom's house." That got my attention. We hadn't spoken since court. I assumed he was still living large, showing off mom's things, pretending he was grieving and curated Instagram posts. I hadn't thought much about the house. I called Claire. She answered on the first ring. She told me she was a real estate agent. Drew had contacted her 6 months earlier, right after the funeral, about selling the house privately, quietly.
No MLS listing.
All cash, off-market. She didn't think much of it at first.
People do that all the time.
But then he started bringing in contractors. Demolishing things. Ripping out parts of the house she remembered seeing in his funeral post. He told people it was just a flip, she said. But it felt weird. "I looked you up after he got aggressive with one of the workers. I saw the court case. I saw your name." My stomach dropped. I asked her for the address. She gave it to me. It wasn't our house anymore. The siding was gone. The front door was replaced. The windows were boarded up while new ones sat out front. They'd gutted the inside. Kitchen stripped, mom's floral wallpaper gone, hardwood floors ripped up. There was a dumpster in the driveway. Inside were pieces of her recliner, her old stereo, the yellow dishes she refused to throw away. All of it gone. I walked through the property. No one stopped me. One of the workers nodded at me like I belonged there. In the corner of what used to be the living room, I saw a dusty photo album. Someone must have missed it. I picked it up. Inside were old Polaroids. Me, Mom, Drew. Vacations. Birthdays. The cabin. The last page had a photo I'd never seen before. Mom standing on the porch of the cabin alone, holding a set of keys. On the back, in her handwriting, "Only one of them will ever come back here."
He'll know why.
I took the album and walked out without a word. That night, I went back to the cabin. I sat in the same chair where I first played the recording, looked at the photo, and I realized something I hadn't before. The cabin was never a backup plan. It was the plan. Everything she gave me, money, memories, the quiet truth, was buried here. Away from the noise, the pretending, the performance. She had built a second life out of reach from the son who treated her like a prop. And she trusted me to carry it. Sometimes I still drive by what used to be her house. The siding's new, the lawn's neat, and there's no trace left of the life we had there. People walk by with strollers like it's always belonged to someone else. And maybe it does now. But I keep thinking about that letter. You understand why. It used to make me feel chosen. Now I think it was a warning. She knew I'd carry the truth alone. That I'd never explain it right. That no one would believe how much was buried under the silence. Not even him. Especially not him. And the worst part is, I do understand why.